Since the beginning of the 21st century, Chinese folk music has gone abroad and has been continuously performed on the world stage. This is Chinese erhu player Deng Jiandong performing at a concert at the Golden Hall in Vienna at the beginning of 2008. As part of the concert, Deng played The Moon Over a Spring, the signature piece by a 20th century musician and composer named Abing. It allowed Europeans to once again be immersed in the unique artistry of this Chinese masterpiece.
欧洲人把二胡看作是东方的小提琴，把二泉音乐看作是中国的月光奏鸣曲。那么在欧洲舞台上演奏过这部作品的有很多的中国的名家。那么因为大家对这首作品的理解和处理呈现不同，同样也会给大家带来不同的感受。
Mr. Deng is from Wuxi, which was also Abing's hometown. So he naturally had a better sense of Abing's music. When he talked about his performance afterwards, he recalled his spiritual pilgrimage to Wuxi.
那么我去维也纳金色大厅举行我的独奏音乐会，主打的就是二泉音乐，这个传世之作。那么我在去欧洲之前，也专程回到无锡，去了天下第二泉，听松石，我想去重新感受一下阿炳，重新循着阿炳的足迹，再对二泉音乐进行一个更多的体会和理解。
The spring in the title refers to the place where Abing poured out his heart through the music of the erhu. The Moon Over a Spring is named after this spring. How was The Moon Over a Spring composed, and how did its fame spread? What story from Abing's life is most associated with it?
二泉音乐有多种解释，有的认为是道乐，有的认为是古曲，有的认为是民歌，还有的认为是多种音乐的糅合，这些都不错。我认为呢，要考察阿炳的音乐呢，一定要考察阿炳所生活的时代。
No one knows the exact time when The Moon Over a Spring was created, but it was definitely after Abing became blind. The late Professor Li Songshou at the School of Music in Nanjing Normal University would have been one of the first people to have heard this piece of music. He was 18 years younger than Abing. He and Abing both lived in Library Road near the Chong'an Temple. He was a frequent visitor to Abing's house. Every day after school, Li Songshou would take an erhu to Abing at Leizun Hall.
阿炳身边经常有10来个半大孩子围着他，但是其中像松官这样认真学琴的人并不多。松官经常趁阿炳高兴的时候，拿起二胡演奏他刚刚学会的流行乐曲，譬如《平沙路远》《小桃红花》等等。阿炳呢，硬着头皮。 耐着性子听他叽叽嘎嘎的青涩的琴技，实在听不下去呢，阿炳就把二胡一把抢过来，自己把2个曲子重新拉一遍。阿炳他从不简单的模仿，而是加上自己的理解，所以经他的认识和印象，新这个乐曲格外好听，别具一格。
Li Songshou admired Abing. In his book, Abing, the Blind Composer, he wrote, "When it comes to setting aside the tune and style, I have never met any erhu musician whose playing skill can compare with Abing's. Every time I listen to Abing's music, it was a wonderful feast of art. However, Li Songshou was puzzled that whenever he was asked about the name and background of the music, Abing would drop his customary talkativeness and dodge the topic. "It's music from a Buddhist temple," he would say. Many years later, Li asked another close friend of Abing, Yang Yin-liu, about whether Abing composed this music. In Mr. Yang's opinion, Abing wrote these works himself, or mixed in some music he had heard elsewhere and incorporated it into his music works. Li Songshou couldn't understand why Abing didn't want to admire this, since he had created such a beautiful original composition.
阿宾在卖艺的时候从来不演奏自己的作品，说明他的心里十分矛盾。在艺术上，他从来不认为自己是街头一族，而对他自己的身份又很自卑，所以从潜意识来讲，他不愿意把自己的作品和自己的身份联系起来。
Mr. Yang stated in his book, The Musical Collection of Abing, Abing descended to a level of street entertainer. He was expelled from the Taoist temple. This statement turns out to be inconsistent with reality. Actually, Abing's master Hua Qinghe had died in 1925. Before that, Abing had taken over the running of Leizun Hall and become a Taoist abbot. Later, due to financial difficulties, he was forced to make a living as a street entertainer.
杨延六说阿炳呢，是被赶出道门的，其良苦用心啊，就是为了适应50年代初期阶级存分论。那么阿炳呢，其实他是雷震队的当家主持，他是有产的。那么在那个形势下面不可能有产，所以呢，一定要把阿炳标注成一个苦大仇深的民间艺人，这样来推出二泉映月，推出阿炳。
Having gone from Taoist abbot to street entertainer, Abing was regarded as a black sheep by many Wuxi residents. His music was regarded as no more than the tunes of a beggar. Taoist disciples were forbidden from imitating it or playing it. However, none of this affected Abing's fame in Taoist music circles. As Young said, Abing's social status was determined by his musical talent.
阿炳一生中有大量的音乐作品，他最擅长的是琵琶拳，最拿手的是二胡拳，像龙床、听松、大朗、陶沙，特别是二泉音乐，原来都没有出名，也没有出谱，他是随心而来，这些的名字都是后来加上去的。
Li Songshou grew up listening to Abing's music. Meanwhile, Abing was worn out by age. Looking at Abing's emaciated face and his increasingly bent back, Mr. Li was worried. Once Abing passed away, all his music and techniques would disappear as well. Then, Mr. Li went to study under Qiu Shizhu, the director of the National Music Group at the Shanghai Conservatory of Music. Once, after class, Mr. Cho lamented the lack of any decent solo works for the erhu. He suggested collecting and collating material from the public for further analysis. Li Songshou immediately thought of Abing. He recommended him to Mr. Chu, who was very interested and proposed right away that Mr. Li should commit Abing's music to paper. Upon his return to Wuxi in 1947, Li Songshou arranged a meeting with Abing. Coincidentally, he also unexpectedly ran into Yang Yin-liu and his cousin Cao Anhe. During the 8 years of the anti-Japanese war, Mr. Yang had moved south to Kunming. He was invited to return to Wuxi to organize Shibu Chai, a Taoist music troupe to perform in Shanghai. He invited Abing to join him in Wuxi.
不猜呢，上个世纪30-40年代，享誉苏南地区的无锡道教音乐的一个班社。那么他们呢，是在无锡的各个道观的音乐高手组成的，他们身手不凡，技艺精巧。 尽管年龄呢比阿炳小，但是阿炳跟他们交往非常密切，而这些18下的成员呢，也都非常尊重阿炳。
In his book, The Origin of Abing's Skills, Yang Yin Liu wrote, "After the rehearsal, the musician suggested that Mr. Hua and I play a piece of music. He did not decline, and took up the erhu and began playing a tune with me. Abing's performance fully expressed the emotion of the music and was executed with flawless artistry. Moreover, he added embellishments and variations, and encouraged me to follow along. Our perfect cooperation brought thunderous applause." The Mr. Hua mentioned in the article was actually Abing. Abing's real name was Hua Yanjun. Because he was blind, people called him Blind Abing. However, Taoist priests all respectfully addressed him as Mr. Hua. This was due to Abing's extraordinary musical talent and his status in the world of Taoist religious music.
阿炳的演奏可以求新，不拘一个。相同的乐曲，没有2个相同的版本。2泉音乐就在这基础上面创造而成的。它体现一种深刻的主题，它糅合了无锡的道教音乐、江南民歌，它是由多种音乐元素融合而成的。
Yang Yin Liu marveled at Abing's perfect artistic accomplishments. Li Songshou took the chance to ask to transcribe some of Abing's music, and was supported by Mr. Yang. Upon parting, Yang promised to record the music next time he returned to Wuxi. Abing expressed his thanks over and over again, though he did not quite understand what recording his music meant. Li Songshou applauded the idea, saying that this was a good way to preserve Abing's music. The task of transcribing Abing's music was carried out. He wrote in his memoirs, "I transcribed the scores to Abing's house explaining my intention. Abing kept waving me away, saying, 'Other people will laugh at my music. They're unworthy of being studied.' I said, 'You've been living in misery for decades. If now you're given the chance to find some friends who can appreciate your talents, don't you want to give it a try?' After hearing this, Abing stood up, took his erhu, and began to play his nameless works, and I transcribed them quickly and sent them to Mr. Chu. Ever since then, Abing's works have been played on my college campus."
记谱工作持续了10天时间，记了3首二胡独奏曲和5首二胡合奏曲。每天中午，阿炳到李松寿家里来拉琴，有时候还带上了酒和小菜。阿炳很能喝酒，每一次都能喝2到3斤朝鲜黄酒。拉完琴，他还叫李松寿放别人的唱片给他听。他比较喜欢听贝多芬的《月光曲》和萨拉萨蒂的《流浪者之歌》。
Due to the unstable situation, the taping process was delayed. Li Songshou didn't receive Yang Yin Liu's letter until 2 years later. Mr. Yang said that he had obtained a reel-to-reel recorder and he was coming to Wuxi. Mr. Li hurried back to Wuxi excitedly and went straight to Abing's house. He was shocked by Abing's physical condition. Abing had not touched a musical instrument for months. Chong Cui Di, Abing's wife, explained what had been going on during the previous 2 years. In July 1948, the government of the Republic of China failed in its quest for monetary reform. This led to hyperinflation. Currency devaluation put ordinary people through a nightmare of suffering. Abing stood in the street denouncing what he called the evil currency. Deeply troubled by the soaring prices and eager to avoid public dissent, the authorities put him under house arrest.
解禁后的一天早晨啊，阿炳准备操琴上街去卖艺， 他居然发现啊，他这个耳虎上的那个蛇皮啊，给老鼠咬穿了，他那琴弓的马尾也给老鼠咬断了，他呢就非常的懊恼，说：“哎呀，这样的话我可能不能出去了。”所以呢，他就这个决定呢不再卖艺了，就靠这个修乐器和为人家制火单来谋生。
在阿炳生活困难的时候，有个华光乐器社的老板叫阿胖。阿胖他是阿炳的粉丝，经常请阿炳到他的店里去修理和调整乐器，一来可以对阿炳进行接济，二来也可以促成自己的生意。所有的乐器经过阿炳的修理调整，发音格外通顺，发音格外好听。戏乐爱好者纷纷愿意出大价钱买阿炳手中的琴，这样一来，阿炳也算是对阿胖的回报吧。
In the late summer of 1950, young Yin Liu and his cousin packed a reel-to-reel recorder and took a train south from Beijing to Wuxi. Their goal was to record some of Abing's music. Mr. Young's arrival made Abing very excited. Early in the morning, he asked his wife to clean up their dilapidated house, thinking that they would record at his home. But Mr. Young said they should go to another, much quieter place.
杨先生要为阿炳录音的事情，在当时的无锡可算是一大新闻。阿炳的粉丝好友们闻风而动，纷纷忙活起来。朱世光先生在华阿胖的店里拿来了一把好的新二胡，曹安湖先生也在华光乐器店为他拿来了一把好的琵琶，供阿炳做练习。还在《新西日报》上登了预告，从而是有个居士特意为他们选定了录音的地点。
The recording location was at the Sansheng Pavilion on Guangqian Street. Sansheng Pavilion no longer exists, but the oil painting at Abing's former residence shows what it looked like at the time. It also shows how he recorded the music. Inside the house, there was absolute silence. Mr. Young turned on the recorder and gently tapped Abing's shoulder with his finger. The desolate and dull prelude was like a sigh from the bottom of Abing's heart. Everyone held their breath in anticipation.
当时参加录音的有8个人，他们是阿炳、杨应楼、曹安和、李松寿、朱世光等。当时的《新西日报》做了报道，有来了20-30个听众，他们觉得新奇和重大，但是他们谁也没有意识到，他们将成为这一重要历史时刻的见证者。可惜他们现在都已经去世了。
For those present at the recording session, The Moon Over a Spring was a familiar piece of music, and yet it also felt brand new. Its haunting melody had flowed through every street in Wuxi, with every note expressing the hardship of Abing's life. Li Songshou was impressed by what he had heard that day. He felt it far surpassed the snippets he had heard before.
一曲终了，杨应楼关掉录音机，问阿炳：“这曲子叫什么名字？”阿炳讲：“没有名字，我是瞎拉拉的。”阿炳就是用这种形式承认了这作品是他创作的。
杨应楼先生就问：“总该有个名字吧？”又问阿炳：“你经常在什么地方拉这个曲子？”阿炳说：“我经常在惠山二泉边上拉。”在座的朱世光先生就提议叫二泉吧。阿炳说：“广东音乐里有个乐曲叫三潭印乐，这个印是印象的印。”杨应楼先生想了一想说：“惠山二泉旁边有个映山湖，这个映就是反应的映。你又经常在二泉拉这个随心恰舞美的曲子，不妨叫二泉映乐吧。”阿炳想一想说：“好好，连连点头。” 还是杨先生有学问，就听你的吧。
As if to verify the birth of the masterpiece, Young played back the piece. Upon hearing his own music echoing through the hall for the first time in his life, Abing stood up in surprise. He touched the recorder and muttered to himself, "This is my performance? This machine is incredible." Nonetheless, Young felt regret about the recording. Because of the limited number of tapes they had brought with them, they were only able to record 3 Arhu pieces and 3 Pipa pieces. When they left, Young said they would bring more tapes and record more of Abing's music the following summer. Abing replied with great enthusiasm, "Let me practice, and the next time I'll play the complete version of that well-known gong and drum piece from Jiangsu province." Unfortunately, the next time would never come.
杨元柳带回去的录音，在新中国成立后的音乐界引起了巨大反响。音乐家李济曾经提议邀请阿炳去中央音乐学院举办多种音乐会，可惜阿炳已经去世了。阿炳逝世于1950年12月4日，终年57岁。在他去世后的1个多月，伴随他半世悲苦的董垂弟也离开了人世。
Abing's life was miserable, as well as lucky. He lived to see the birth of the PRC, and his music gained the respect of the new society. It was no longer considered to be beggar's music played by a worthless street entertainer. Before he died, he finally had the chance to perform his own music on stage. The performance took place on September 23, 1950. At the invitation of a prestigious organization, Abing played the Arhu solo piece, "The Moon Over a Spring," in the back garden of the Taishan restaurant in Wuxi. It was the only time Abing played on a public stage, and it was also the magnificent curtain call of his life.